What's up, listeners? Hope you are doing well. I am here today with my good friend now, Charlie Proctor, who, I've known for, we were just counting it down, like almost 8 months. He came in because we were looking for him and he was looking for us. So now he's part of the team. Charlie Proctor, he's got a story. We're going to hear it here in a minute, but, he's a personal trainer, corporate wellness coach, triathlete, wasn't always like that, and long distance cyclist, which, you just were saying maybe if you're a little bit shorter, closer to being around. So what's up, man? Let's dive into it because that's what this is. We want to hear your story.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, Jeremy. No, it means a lot.
Oh, by the way, also, I forgot this, the most important part. Well, one of the most important part, a wonderful musician, rock star, who was just jamming with David Hoover at our event, and they jammed out, and we're going to have you guys back, but also a rock star.
Oh, a lot of things.
Check them out on YouTube.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah. So, Charlie Proctor music, right. No, but thanks for having me. And we were just talking about, wow, it's like 8 months already. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah, that's how it is.
Time flies.
It's all like one dream, really.
Yeah. So, it's so funny. You said triathlete. Now it's like a lot of cycling. But before, I was doing, a bunch of the triathlon races and stuff like that. But yeah, I'll just briefly introduce myself. Yeah, guys, I'm Charlie Proctor, like Jeremy said, and I am a personal trainer. And I've had this long journey ever since I was 16 years old. I used to weigh 300 pounds. I lost over 100 pounds and learned a lot along the way. And, I feel like I'm continuously learning a lot more and stuff like that. But yeah, just a little bit about me. You have some questions for me?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So why were you 300 pounds? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so I say that weight, especially when you're growing up, is very habitual. So it's kind of where you're at, who you surround yourself with. So, at the time, I had a grandfather who was the way he showed affection was through food. So we would have lots of I didn't know what calories were. I didn't know.
What was your favorite dish?
Oh, dude. He would make tons of pasta and spetzel and pork and with this really cream sauce and stuff like that, and a lot of carbs, stuff like that. But
so you would just sit around the dinner table and just eat.
And I wouldn't think about it. It was called Charlie's plate, and Charlie's plate was this one plate above the cabinet that was 2 times bigger than
So they called it Charlie's plate because
I was
you need doubles.
Yeah, I would eat it. I would eat a lot. Yeah, but I just had a big appetite. I just would eat. And when I think back now, was I ever really hungry? I don't know. It was kind of just something I did, was just eat. And at school, I kind of would just eat whatever they had. And at the time, my family was struggling with low income and stuff like that. So, it's much more difficult to, kind of monitor what your kids are eating. You cook a lot of what do they call it? The struggle foods, like buttered noodles and all that other kind of stuff. You don't
very calories, fat.
Yeah, and it's just high in calories, and you just it doesn't fill you up as much, so you kind of just eat a lot of it. And that was kind of what I had. Yeah. And then that's probably that's what got me 300 pounds.
And how old were you then?
You were so peak weight when I'm 16 was
16.
So I was
how much do you weigh now?
I'm in the 180s.
180s. So when you were 10 years old, you're already overweight a lot.
Yeah, I'll actually tell you. So I actually ended up I went on a diet when I was really young. Oh my gosh. I remember I did a lot of theater, and stuff like that. And I remember I was doing this theater, summer stock program. And I was on a diet, and I remember I was 100. Actually, I was the weight that I was now at 12 or 13 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you're doing theater.
Yeah, I was doing theater.
So how were the kids treating you?
Um, I feel like in grade school I got picked on a lot because of my weight. High school was like a little bit different. People can pick on you for stuff like
Of
that.
course.
But at the time, like I developed this kind of like thicker skin, and I was like, I feel like in order to fit in, you didn't have like, when you're like in a bigger body. I'm not saying that like you're not unattractive, but you have to work a lot harder to get people like you, in my opinion. In my opinion, like you're not just gonna,
You
like if I
can't just be the big fat kid that has like you didn't want to be that kid that
exactly
one life.
exactly you have to like I had to try harder to fit in. In my opinion, that's how I felt.
And what did you feel like you needed to try to do? What is fit like?
Yeah, so I want, like I feel like when you are growing up, all you want to do is like you want people to like you. And then feel that sometimes the decisions you make influence that. So I was kind of a lot more like jokey, funny, and like, me, like I take myself serious, but I don't take myself serious at the same time. Like I like to have a good time, and I like to make jokes and stuff like that. So that's what I did. I had to kind of develop this personality, and yeah. So like when you back to what you're saying about like the picking on and stuff like that in high school, if someone roasted me about my weight, I would just be like right back, like no chance. Like I would be on it, you know. If like I remember some guy called me like he said I looked like a Roblox like character,
Mm.
and I just roasted him and said something back. But that's
So you almost like treated it as like a game or something.
yeah, it's just kind of stupid. Like
But I mean, it had to have still.
it stung a little,
Yeah.
but like part of me would just like be like, you say something not so nice back to make you feel like yourself feel better, something funny, right? And like that's kind of how it was,
Yeah.
with that. Yeah.
So then, what happened at 16? What sparked
Yeah.
the Charlie that's on this journey?
So I briefly talked about my grandfather a little bit. Um, he ended up passing away like around that time when I was 16. And I just remember it was just like a change. I feel like there were a lot of things going on in my life. Like my parents are going through a divorce. We just lost our grandfather, like my mom, my cousin, we found him dead. Like, that's a traumatic experience. Um, and there was just a lot of other things going on around that time. We had to move homes to take care of my grandmother at the time, who had dementia, all the stuff. So a lot of people would kind of like fall into some sort of, either depression or feel really down. But I feel like I used that as a way to jumpstart something that I knew I needed to make change. So yeah, I didn't know.
What did you say to yourself?
I remember it was like New Year's, like around like New Year's Eve. Like I was like still like losing weight and stuff like that. Like slowly, but I remember I like looked myself in the mirror and I like even wrote it in my notes app on my phone. I was like, next year, like I'm gonna be better. This Charlie is gonna be better next year. And it's like a switch. Like a lot of people will fall off after like New Year's. Like we talk about New Year's, like we've had clients come and go.
80%.
Exactly. It's just at the time, like I just knew I needed to do that. And I feel I think it's genetic, but I think it's also learned how to just do it. Like there's no excuses. You just need to.
Genetic as far as
Like genetic,
all humans like have that switch.
yeah. And like I honestly think that some people are innately like harder workers than others, just like from genetics, like how you're
Oh
born.
yeah, well yeah, it could be just exactly what zodiac sign are you.
Yeah, and I think that like some people would like just could innately dig deeper and push harder. Like for example, like my sisters, the Proctor family, like my name has like the depression gene, and both of my sisters got that. And it passed me over. So for them, in order to make a next step, it would be much more difficult. But for me, It wasn't as
So you felt like you were never like low energy, depressed as a kid.
no, no, not at all. I was genuinely like really happy. Um, and we could talk a little bit about like depression, stuff like that.
Sure.
Um, yeah, I've only felt like I would say there's a depression once in my whole life, and it's actually centers around music because at the time, like before all this personal training stuff and this, this transformation and everything, I was not like an athlete. I didn't work out. Like I was music, like music, music, music. That's all I did. I did musical theater. I loved theater. I loved singing, and stuff like that. And I actually wanted to go to school for it, like so bad. Like I had this dream, and I still have this dream, and I know it will come true someday. But um, I went to school in Nashville for, literally about half a year, and I hated it, like hated it. When I say like I hated it, like, oh man, it was really hard. I actually fell out of love of music. Like I called my mom. I remember I would call her all the time, and I would just walk. Like I would walk. So I remember I was 180 something pounds when I went to college. And I really didn't have much muscle on me at all, but I lost within like 2 months, I was like 160. So in like literally 2 months, I lost like 25 pounds, which is not healthy at all. Like I just,
Because you were depressed.
I was just,
Why were you not happy?
because I just didn't like the curriculum. I didn't think music school was for me. I didn't enjoy it. And I remember I called my mom. I'd walk around like Nashville all the time, and I said like, I want to quit music. And I think that if you're ever in an environment or ever in a situation where your passion and something that you love, you fall out of love with, or you feel like it's breaking away from you, you need to leave.
You need to change the
100%.
environment.
Exactly. So I knew like these school wasn't for me, but like, yeah, I felt it. I feel like people can fall into depressions, but it's all about like how you pick yourself up out of that. So
Yeah.
that was probably, I would say that was probably one of my biggest struggles.
It was music school.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was like, man, like yeah. And, yeah, so,
What would you say you learned from that experience?
wow, that's a great question. I would say not caring what people think, because part of me was like, oh my gosh, what happens if I like go home and I don't go to college?
This musician who, or he was in the
Exactly.
band, and
People like people had these high expectations of me,
expectations, right?
and I had this image of like what they thought of me, and I was like, if I drop out, what are my best friends gonna say? What are what are all the people who supported me and saw me, and the kind of the network I made, like I went to St. Ignatius, like all that community, and there were many other communities, like, oh my God, like what are these people gonna say? So that was a big fear of mine. But honestly, I think I'm very grateful for that experience, because there are so many things that would not have happened if I didn't leave. I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't found like cycling. I wouldn't have like done any triathlons. I wouldn't have met my girlfriend, who I love now. And I'm so grateful for that opportunity. I wouldn't have been able to like start all the music and the kind of gig at Cleveland and make the album that I did, and kind of, cultivate the relationship with David, like Hoover, like you said. So, and also, something else that I learned is don't be afraid to just go. Don't be afraid to go gut your gut and what's needed to do.
That's a big one.
Yeah, because when you have like thoughts in your head of like, oh, what are people going to think? And is this really the right choice? And you have all these doubts. That's what's always going to hold you back. And I think I just finally let that all go. And again, like the older I'm getting now, my mom says that so I'm 22 and I act like I'm in my 30s or 40s.
For sure.
Yeah. Just because, I just don't, like, I feel like I've aged like 10, 20 years.
Well, I remember myself at 22. I did care a lot about what people thought, right?
Yeah. But yeah, you just gotta let, like, again, at the end of the day, the people who are gonna have something to say about you, they're not happy with themselves. And like a lot of people are down here, and I wanted to bring myself up here, but they didn't like that, so they wanted to bring me back down to their level. And that's kind of how that works. But you just gotta like F what people have to say.
But that happened to you because of this deep depression, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like everything.
So the depression was like the fuel to lead you at 22 years old, now acting like a man and not a child.
I wrote a song about it too.
What was it called?
It was called Happy with a frowny face.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was kind of like the double.
So you put it on YouTube?
Yeah, no, it was on my album.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, that song was about how I felt, in the lyrics are pretty deep in the sense that trying to trick myself into thinking that I was happy where I was, and stuff like that. But yeah,
And it's really easy to continue to trick yourself, right?
you could be like, no, this is great. Like I have this opportunity, and at the time, Jeremy, I got a lot of scholarships to go to school.
Uh-huh.
I was going for very little. I worked my ass off to get scholarships.
Same for, go ahead.
For music. I worked really hard to get the talent-based scholarships and academic, and then I did a bunch of outside scholarships, and I ended up getting this one like big $10,000 other scholarship. And all these things were in my head, like, oh my gosh, I worked so hard for this, and like I'm just throwing it all away. But honestly, I think what's really important is finding those people who support you. And I'm very lucky that my mom is so supportive as she is. Like she was exactly. She was so supportive of my decision, and she told me to not care what other people say, and why should I?
So you flipped the switch on that?
I did. I really did.
And you flipped the switch on the weight part, right?
Yeah.
Being a better Charlie.
Yeah, exactly. I did. So a lot of growing has happened, man. Like from 16 to 22, like I have had this insane life experience already. Like like so much has happened.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful for it, because I feel like people who knew me at 16 and know me now, and even have known me the past couple years or months, like my maturity has just, I'm learning more about life, and I'm learning about how to be a good person, and I'm learning about relationships, and I'm learning about how to make myself happy and make everyone else around me happy, and kind of use the gifts and talents that I have to make things better for everyone.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so now you're taking all of this and you're putting into training and coaching, right?
Yeah. So
how would you help someone that you see is still stuck with that old mindset and they need to make that shift? Like you've made, it seems like, at least 2 big times, right? So now you're experienced at that. So how do you help someone make that switch?
Yeah. I think what's really important is kind of meeting people where they're at, and not trying to set up this crazy expectation. Because some people will look at me and they'll be like, well, I'm not you. And yeah, you're right. You're not me. Let's say your name's Steve. You're not Charlie. You're Steve. So who does Steve want to be? And you kind of dive in from there. Like, a lot of people see me and all the exercise that I do and, the stuff, and they're like, I don't want to do that. And I was like, you don't have to. This is my journey. This is what I wanted, but you're not here to mimic me. We're here to craft you. So like Norm, one of our clients, he's the funniest thing. I love it. I met him for the first time, and he said, mold me, craft me into clay. Like, and I was like, wow, I actually really like that. But yeah, I like to go over, like goals. Goals are super important. Like, where do you want to see yourself in X amount of time and this amount of time? And, and then you take those small steps to like reach, like, say you have your big goal where you want to be, right? And then now you just have like little stepping stones to get there. And I kind of like to get people out of the mindset that, stop trying to make excuses. I try to be really, really nice about it. Everyone really has excuses for stuff. And it's kind of like you have to cut through the BS first, and then you can kind of get down. And I like to like try to emotionally connect with people as much as I can, because there's always a greater reason for why they are where they are.
Yeah.
A lot of people just judge someone. And people are just so quick to judge. Like, let's say that there's like a 300-pound person on the street, like I was that guy.
Yeah.
And someone like, and they walk a little bit close to you and they're just like, get out of my way, fat ass. Like, why did you have to say that? And also, you have no idea what their life is like and what led to get them there. So that's square one.
Yeah.
Learn who you're training, who you're coaching. And then from there, Jeremy, I think everything else as a coach, that's the easy stuff. I just, dump all the knowledge over time that I've learned onto them. But
Yeah.
I think getting in the door and getting them to be like ready to train and actually be emotionally vulnerable with you is the most important part.
Yeah, I love my opinion. I love that. That's basically getting to the heart and helping them create the best version of themselves.
Exactly.
Magic helpers. That's who we are. I'm calling it. That's it. I mean, when we finish creating our app, I think it's going to be called
Magic Helpers.
Yeah, like that.
I do. Magic Helpers.
Yeah. So, like, what are most people struggling with? You feel like our clients. Let's talk about our clients in general. People who are like already kind of made the maybe foot in the door and are training, and then maybe not training. Like, what do you feel?
Okay.
Like,
I would say two things. Motivation is, so people will feel highly motivated for small periods of time.
Okay, right.
And then the motivation goes away and they're like, well, I don't really want to go to the gym anymore. I'm not having as much fun as I used to. This is a lot harder now, or something like that. How do you get stronger? How do you, it's called progressive overload. And sometimes people are like, oh, wow, things are getting more difficult. I have to push myself more. And then they kind of walk out. So it's about developing skill. Okay. Discipline. Okay. Motivation can only last for so long. You have to develop discipline. Like, you have to be like, this is what I have to do, and I'm going to do it. Some days I'm not going to want to do it, but I'm going to do it anyways because it's going to be good for me. And that's something that it's like the mental strength. That's what clients struggle with. Mental strength. I don't understand why. I've never been the guy. Okay. Let's say that I am a mile away from the finish line in a cycling race, or I'm 2 reps away from like absolute failure. Why are people giving up? Like, you're so close. Why are you giving up? And that's what people do. It's the mental strength. It's the like, I'm so close. I'm almost there. I'm done. I'm just giving up because it's too hard. So it's about getting those reps in and pushing past like what you think is possible. Oh my gosh, like I can't hold this pace anymore. I'm a mile away from the finish line. I'm done. I can't do it. I can't do it. It's changing the mindset from I can't do it to you're so close. You're almost there. Like, push on.
Yeah, and even if you can't get, let's say you're going for 15 and you get 13 reps, mentally, are you telling yourself, I gave it everything I had?
Seriously, like, if you know that you're pushing your sets or you're pushing yourself and you gave what you could and everything that you had, and you're like mentally strong and you're just like, I'm going to push and get to this last rep or whatever, that's all, that's what you want. It's the giving up part that, it's the mental strength.
It is the giving up. It's just giving up on themselves because those excuses, like we talked about, came in, right?
Yeah. And then I would also say nutrition outside is a huge issue, especially in a world where.
So let's talk a little bit about nutrition and specifically, let's give people some tips. Like, how did you do it? How did you lose all that weight?
So at first, my diet was so bad, like in the past, that just small changes had like great results. And, fat loss. I stopped eating out like ridiculous amounts. I think I would go out like once every Saturday or have takeout or something like that. And that's what worked for me. And then just changing the meals and like eating more at home. So like, I don't want to like, a lot of people get overwhelmed because a lot of people just waterboard them with information about like nutrition and stuff. But my best example, like my best advice would be to just start small and make small changes. So if you're eating 5 terrible meals a day, cut it down to 3, and then those other 2, try to like center them around like more like high protein and more vegetables and stuff like that. And try to find things that you like that are low calorie dense, that taste great. And that are high volume for you. That'd be my best advice. And then down the road, when things get more difficult and you start losing weight, obviously, because the more you lose weight, the lower your basal metabolic rate's going to get because you're in a smaller body now. Your body does technically burn at rest at as many calories as it did before. So that's why plateaus happen. You either move more or eat less. I like to say make a combination of both.
So that's what you did.
Yes. So I still work out. I started just doing like cardio and stuff just for fun because I actually was inspired. In high school, there was a guy who lost a ton of weight. He was a year above me, and he would go up to the track and he would like do the elliptical and like the rower. And I thought this dude was badass. And I did it the next year too. His name is Mark. And I thought it was like really cool. So that's what I did. And I would just like do the elliptical for like 45 minutes, like 4 times a week. And, steps are really king. Like getting more steps in your day is amazing just for fat loss in general because it's super low impact. And you'll burn a few extra 100 calories, and you won't even think about it. And then it can end up getting you in that deficit that you need to be in. And then I started getting into like the weight training, from my mom actually, when she was like I believe it was her late 20s or early 30s. She was like really cut in great shape because she had like, she worked for like this like Lawyers Weekly or something in Michigan. And she had basically someone that she worked with. He was like a bodybuilder. And he like a bodybuilder. He would step on stage like super peeled and lean. And so he knew what he was doing in terms of like muscle building and stuff and hypertrophy. So he actually ended up giving me a program that I loosely followed. When I think about that now, like I still had no idea.
Loosely followed a bodybuilding program can't be that bad, right?
Exactly. That I like didn't really know like what I was doing. But honestly, over time, I started doing like weights a lot more. And you can learn so much just by like watching YouTube. Like it's insane how much you learn.
YouTube University.
Like seriously, you could learn just so much by watching YouTube. And that's what I did. I watched a few influencers who, I really respected, and who had great information and who had years and decades of experience. And I just was a sponge and I just loved it. Like, I just like would absorb as much information as I could. To be honest, if you go to college and like learn like exercise physiology, you're going to actually like, there's some professors who like believe the craziest things. Like and I'm just like, what the heck?
Because they're just so
exactly. And but like by the book, but like, here's the thing, the literature is changing all the time.
Oh yeah.
So you just have to continuously be like versed in like the industry. And if you're not, you're going to be outdated and have terrible information. So just making sure that you're staying up to date with studies.
Sure.
That's that kind of stuff. So that's what I did. And that's where I learned the most. So I would say I really only started let's say from 16 to 19, 18, I was lifting weights. Like, I don't know what I was doing. I was just doing stuff. I wasn't training to failure. I really didn't know what that meant. All that stuff. It was only when I actually moved back from Nashville that I started taking weights like really seriously, and ended up gaining a decent amount of muscle, but I wasn't eating a lot at the time because I had my own like issues with food and stuff like that. Because something I will talk about is something that I definitely, a piece of advice that I could give is lighter is not always better, but it's somewhat food. Like lighter meaning like body.
Wait.
Like lighter is not always better. Like,
so you just took it to
dude, it was so bad. It was so bad.
Yeah.
I lost half my body weight. I lost half my body weight at one time. I went from 300 to 150. And 150 on my body was like, I looked like a skeleton. Right? I looked like a skeleton. It was bad.
How did you like feel? Like what was
dude, it was so two things happened. One, when you lose a drastic amount of weight, theoretically in 3 years, I lost like 150
pounds in
3 years. And that's a lot on your mind. So I developed like pretty bad body dysmorphia where like I would always see myself in the mirror as just fat. Like no matter what, no matter how skinny I got, no matter what I looked like, I still do. I would look in the mirror.
You still do?
Yeah. And it's something that I'm trying to get over, and I'm working towards. But
yeah, we're all working.
Yeah, it's tough because I look in the mirror and I still do, and you see like. I still see like fat.
What do you think you need to do to get over that?
Jeremy, I don't know. Like it's more of, I focus more on performance and how I feel. And cycling has helped me a lot because I just focus on my power and like the watts that I'm doing and the muscle that I'm gaining in the gym and other stuff like that, those are good metrics for me to not be like.
So that's almost like your like confidence
Exactly.
level, whereas this is your lowest.
Yeah.
And I think every single human being has that. I have that too. Yours is looking in the mirror and looking in this. And by the way, like I think I would, if I look in the mirror, might feel like that too if I put on only like 10 pounds, 5 pounds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
So it's
vanity is a
difficult.
big human vice. So I think we should just all take that as we're programmed for it. We're all genetically programmed to have this vanity gene. And it's just part of our programming, and it's not really who we are.
Yeah, you make a good point. And so yeah, when I was 150, I still thought I looked fat. I still thought I looked fat, and I looked at the pictures now, and I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? And that's like what a lot of people that go through. They'll look back when they'll be like, what was I thinking? But so yeah, the advice, lighter is not always better. Um, there's genetic set point theory, and essentially what that is we all have these predestined body fat ranges and percentages that we can, stay at. So like our fat cells, you think like there's like a line, and if they get, too full, leptin, like the fullness hormone, is released more, which is telling you to stop eating. So, I have some clients who are like, I'm not hungry all the time. And they're more overweight. And I'm like, I'm not hungry for breakfast. I'm not hungry. It's like, it's because your body is sending you signals to stop eating. Yeah. Because you're too fat. Literally, that's what it is. Like, you're either too fat, you're under fat or over fat. And you're over fat. So in the same regard, if it gets below that like line where your happy cells are and where you want to be, and where you feel the best at body fat percentage, that's what happened with me. Yeah. I got way too lean, like way too light. And so if I'm 150 pounds at 6 feet tall, I was definitely well under 10% body fat. And genetically, I could not stay at that range. Like, I hungry all the time. So ghrelin, the hunger hormone. Yeah. It's a bad thing when you eat and you're already thinking about your next meal. That is not good. It means that you're too skinny. Like, if that's an issue. I would be eating and I'd be like, I can't wait to go eat again because I'm so hungry. And if I wasn't regimented with everything, every single thing that I ate and the calories that I had, I would binge like crazy. Like I would, it's actually a good thing because it's your body's way of like trying to get you to survive. Yeah. Because, your body doesn't want you to die. It doesn't know that we're living in 2025, right? It has no idea that we're living in 2025. Yeah. Your body has no idea. Exactly. So, so it's a survival mechanism. It was trying to keep me alive. Like other things were shutting down in my body. Like, I have to take a lot more like biotin now, and trying to put more like healthy fats in my diet because my hair started thinning up here, because the cells weren't doing their thing because my body was trying to prioritize keeping this thing beating. So it just started shutting other things down. Like, for example, I couldn't like use the bathroom like a lot. Like felt like I couldn't, like, it was terrible. Like I would just like use laxatives, try to even go to the bathroom because it would just shut like things down that it didn't. Well, you almost killed yourself. Yeah, it was bad. No, it was really bad. But, I don't even know what, like, there was just a time where a switch just flipped in me and I was like,
So you don't know what that switch was?
I don't even remember. I remember just being like, what the hell is going on? Like, what is going on? I think that's when I stopped like tracking like food, like meticulously. I was like, Charlie, you gotta stop. Like if I keep tracking, I'm gonna go crazy. And I stopped tracking, and I guess over time, I went through a period of just like binge eating because, again, that's what happens for a lot of bodybuilders who get like really lean. And then post show, they just like balloon up. Yeah. Because they just like binge eat because they're like starving themselves. And then they develop horrible body dysmorphia because they're just like, oh my gosh, a month ago I was shredded with abs and now like I could barely see them. Yeah. But they're not fat. They weren't the way that they used to look. And that's something that a lot of people struggle with. They're like, I used to look this way.
Yeah.
I look this way now. I hate myself.
Yeah.
And it's just like, we got to get the idea of what we used to look like out of our heads. We got to focus on who we are now, and just, getting halfway there first.
Getting halfway there.
Halfway there.
So that's what you feel like you've learned your advice now that
I'm halfway there. Like, I'm a little under halfway there, but, I would never be able to maintain 150 pounds. No way. So I have more muscle. I'm 180 and I feel great. And I have a lot of energy, and stuff like that. And I feel good. And that's what you have to prioritize. Not trying to get as lean as you possibly can. So that'd be my advice. Lighter's not always better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wild. You experience both sides of it.
Mm-hmm.
So wrap that up. And what advice would you give someone?
I would say everyone has like kind of a healthy body fat where they're meant to be. For me, it's like 12 to 15. For some others, it's going to be 20. And I'm talking about men. Women are a little bit higher because they carry more fat. So just be the healthiest version of you. Don't chase what you see on social media. Don't chase something unrealistic. Just honestly be the healthiest version that you can be. Like, eat mostly clean, and have a workout regimen, and prioritize your mental health, because if your mental health is out of whack, physical health is going to go out of whack, so on. So just balance. Have a balanced life. Don't feel like you don't have to, like, you can't go out to have drinks or go out to eat with your friends because you're worried about doesn't matter. Have balance. And then I think that's where you really want to be.
Yeah. Love it.
That's where you're going to be the happiest. Because, Jeremy, there were times I didn't go out to eat with my friends because I was scared of getting weight.
Yeah.
But I was already like 150 pounds. I was like, I can't eat because it's off my plan. It's off my plan. Like, I can't do it. And other things I would say, like, another piece of advice would be not to, like, people get in their heads about tracking calories. Tracking calories is the best way you're going to get to where you need to be. But you don't need to do it for life. The goal is to learn and become aware of the foods that you're eating. At the time, like, for example, if I was to make like peanut butter sandwich back in the day, I would just take as much peanut butter as I want with a spoon. Probably put 600 calories of peanut butter. Okay. I'm not saying you can't eat peanut butter anymore, but now once you've lost weight, you've tracked your food, you've become conscious of health conscious, you know what a teaspoon of peanut butter is like. So instead of putting 600 calories on your sandwich, you just put 190 or 200. So changes like that. And you become more conscious, and then again, it's balanced. So I'm not saying that you can't eat peanut butter, but just don't do balance.
Yeah, exactly. Balance.
Exactly.
One word can wrap that all up.
Exactly. All right,
so what's next? What's next for you?
Like here?
Well, racing here, yeah, in general.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I'm happy to, help our clients like grow, and we're getting more clients and stuff like that, and I'm just happy to help, you and the other teams, the trainers and everyone else on our team, grow the company and grow the client base, and I'm really happy to do it. So that's where I'm here now. Yeah, of course. I think what separates you guys apart from everyone else is, I think, not only do we have a good team, we're knowledgeable. But you and Eric, so Eric is the co-founder, you two are genuinely good people, like genuine. And then, that's why I love working here, because like you can feel the respect and the love that you have for everyone else and the clients and stuff like that. And like that is like very unique, because a lot of people would get lost in that trying to build a company, and you guys have it. And that's really commendable.
Wow, man, that's like the sweetest thing.
You would have that's why. Yeah. That's why, friends. In terms of cycling, I'm looking at races like in the future. I really want to like get into gravel because it's like huge in Ohio. But like right now, I'm just at times I feel like you just need to enjoy the journey that you're on. And I did it when I like, that's another piece of advice. Enjoy the journey that you're on. So like any journey, like weight loss or, whatever you're doing. That's what I did at the time. And that's what I'm doing now. I'm just enjoying what I'm doing now. And I'm looking forward to working hard and setting up opportunities for myself in the future. So I'm just working on cycling, working here, working on music, all that stuff.
Love it, man. Love it.
Yeah.
We're going to have to do another one of these. We waited. Well, we didn't wait. It's just so happened how the universe made it happen.
Yeah.
7 months to record this one. So,
But it's because we're so busy. It's a good thing.
it's a good thing. It's a good thing. So yeah, I mean, thanks guys for listening. So we're doing events now once a month, first Thursday of every month. So if you're listening to this to the end, then we would love to see you at one of our events. We're gonna rock out soon with Charlie and David Hoover again. But yeah, thanks for listening. We'll be back on again.
Yep.
See you guys.
Thanks, guys.